suicide is a horrible thing that shouldn't happen, and nobody should do it. But the thing is, sometimes shows, one way or another, have this topic, and sometimes it's discussed more than others. So in this video, I'm going to talk about two of my favorite cartoons, SpongeBob and the Fairly Odd Parents, and two instances of each where they covered suicide. So we're going to start off with the first instance from SpongeBob. Well, I'm going to just show you all the four of them I'm going to be covering in this video before I dive into them. So the first one from SpongeBob is One Course Meal, which is pretty infamous. Another infamous one is The Fairly Odd Parents, It's a Wishful Life. Also in SpongeBob, another infamous one is Are You Happy Now? And a less known episode from Fairly Odd Parents, Season 7, Farm Pit. So let's first get into the parts that cover suicide. Starting off with One Course Meal, Plankton literally lays in the middle of the road waiting for the bus to come because Mr. Krabs has been torturing him so much. Well, it's not shown how much of it was in Plankton's head and how much Mr. Krabs actually did, which really leaves the episode up to interpretation, which in a way makes it a lot worse. So next up, Are You Happy Now? There are implied suicide things where you think Squidward's gonna hang himself. He puts up a bird cage. You think he's gonna suffocate himself in an oven. He's just pulling out a burnt dish. There's something I also have to mention about that, but I'll get into that later. Next up is It's a Wishful Life, where after Timmy does nice things and no one appreciates them, he wishes to never be born, and then he goes to the dimension of people who improve the world by wishing to never be born, because apparently the world is better without this 10-year-old kid. And the dimension of people who improved the world by wishing they'd never been born is literally just hell. And last up, Farm Pit. After Timmy is very overworked by his parents when they move to a farm, he sees a tornado and wonders about if it'll transport him somewhere or rip the flesh straight off of his bones. That's literally inside of the episode, and jumps into the tornado. So I'm going to So I'm also going to talk about stuff that's been changed, particularly the bottom two for both of them. First off, Are You Happy Now? The implied suicide scenes were deleted. So I am just going to take it off of the table because it actually noticed that this is not good. But Farm Pit is completely different because apparently it got banned because when the tornado took Timmy to Cleveland, because somehow a tornado transported him from California to Ohio. Cosmo robbed a grave, and there's like a Wizard of Oz reference in there or something. It's really weird, so apparently it got banned for that. So the thing is, in It's a Wishful Life, let's just quickly cover the reasons why all of the remaining options did it. So One Course Meal, Plankton, either there was way too much of this in his head, or Mr. Krabs was actually going out of his way to torment Plankton every day, to the point where Plankton just can't take it anymore and goes in the middle of the road waiting for the bus to come. I can't remember who said it, it would have been a lot better if Plankton just jumped into the whale's mouth to see that it was a costume, instead of SpongeBob just wondering why Plankton's laying in the middle of the road and telling him that it was just Mr. Krabs. I will admit, I'm pretty sure it was Pie Guy who said that, even though I think that the suicide part is really bad. Even though I think that One Course Meal is passable. Boo! You suck! Quit the platform again! Boo! Oh yeah. Anyways, it leaves too much up to interpretation. Like, how much was in Plankton's head, and was Mr. Krabs going out of his way so that often? It leaves it all up to interpretation, and it's a wishful life. As I said, Timmy just isn't appreciated for all the good things that he does, and then he wishes to never be born, and then everyone's life is better without him, and he goes to the dimension of people who improved the world by wishing to never be born, as I said, which is basically hell. And in Farm Pit, Timmy is just getting tortured so much by his father's stupidity, his mother's neglectfulness. And the thing is, at least in A Wishful Life, even though Timmy goes through a lot, at least there's actually a plot to it, and even though they didn't handle it well, at least Timmy gets to live after it. So I think I'm going to take it off of the table, but I still get why it is an extremely infamous episode, and most likely the most infamous Fairly Odd Parents episode. That leaves One Course Meal and Farm Pit. Which one of these two episodes is worse? Well, I'm just going to say here, Farm Pit is worse. Because of the stupid scarecrow gag of Timmy's father calling him a scarecrow, thinking that scarecrows are Timmy, bringing the scarecrow into the tornado bunker instead of Timmy. But about the suicide, which is worse. Well, here's the thing. If Timmy's father was smart enough to tell that the scarecrow wasn't Timmy, then Timmy wouldn't even have the opportunity to do the suicide. So that is Timmy's father's fault. And for Plankton and One Course Meal, it's obviously Mr. Krabs' fault, because he finds out that Plankton's afraid of whales and dresses up as Pearl, even though she literally said she'd rather eat salad because she's a vegetarian. I mean, what do you think is more at risk here? Sitting in the middle of the road or jumping into a tornado? Farm Pit is objectively either the worst or second worst episode of Fairly Odd Parents. Vicky gets fired has some really bad implications that Timmy's only purpose in life is to get, what's the word for it? Abused. But Farm Pit is in my opinion, the worst Fairly Odd Parents episode, and takes a very bad portrayal at suicide, because Timmy's parents are just too neglectful to tell that the scarecrow isn't Timmy until they get out of there, and Timmy's mom can tell it's actually a scarecrow and that Timmy got sucked up in the tornado. Wow, it would have been really helpful if you could tell that earlier, Timmy's mom. And Timmy even does it with a smile on his face. He is hoping that either he will die or he will be transported somewhere else. Obviously, it still went on for, 3 more seasons, even though season 8 was, 6 episodes, 5 episodes, but it was 6 episode lengths long, because one of them was a TV movie. Season 8 being an extremely short season of a show aside of Fairly Odd Parents. Farm Pit is just an absolutely terrible episode, and it takes suicide completely wrongly.